Hello, everyone. Welcome to At the Table with Gail. I am your host, Gail Dudley. It was so important for me to join you today and to share this entire piece on being politically savvy. So as you know, you hear me say politically savvy with Gail. I am your strategist for everyday organizers. I give information. That's what I do. That's who I am. I give information. I help you look at your environment, your neighborhood, your community, your local community, and I give you hopefully practical steps so that you can get involved. I give information to help you take action in those things that are important to you. And today I specifically wanted to come on today, and I'll be doing this the next several weeks leading up to some elections here in Central Ohio, just talking about the need and the importance to understand what it is that you're voting on, how you are voting. I'm not telling you how to vote, but I want you to consider how you are voting. And I also want you to really ask yourself if you are indeed praying before you vote. And I make no mistake in sharing this. I split tickets all the time. I split tickets all the time. And I split tickets when I'm voting because I am doing my research. So let me just take us through some steps. And the first question I want you to ask is, what can you do? What can we do as a community? And what can you do as an individual person? I think that's where we need to start. What can we do individually as well as collectively? Well, number one, you have to do your research. You have to do your research. I see you, Mary. How are you? You have to do your research. That is so important. That's why I'm wanting to take the next 4 to 5 weeks to help get you prepared for any election that may be coming up in November. Again, I'm based out of Central Ohio, so you may have already had your election. You may have elections coming up, but I want you to understand what it is you're doing. So you have to do your research. And I have some notes here, so if I'm looking down, please forgive me, but I want to make sure that I touch on everything. But before you even do your research, let me encourage every last single person who is of age to vote to register to vote if you have not already registered. Please register to vote if you have not already registered. In some states, some communities, it may be too late to register for any upcoming election, but still register so that you can be prepared to start voting for the next cycle of elections. Don't wait. While it's on your mind today, tomorrow, this week, early next week, register to vote. It's really easy to do that now. You can do a lot of your registration online. You can do it at the Bureau of Motor Vehicles. You can do it at the library. There are people that have registration cards. You can get a registration card. You can go to your Secretary of State office. Whatever you need to do, register to vote. A lot of churches are now signing people up to vote. Hey, Giselle, I see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. But it's so important to register to vote. Again, it may be too late in your local community to register for this upcoming election. If it is, no problem. Go ahead and register so that you can be prepared for the next election cycle. So you want to register. And here's what's so important. It is your right to vote. It is your right. Do not allow anyone to take away your voice or your right to vote. The second thing, make sure you are voting in each election. I know sometimes we say, okay, we just want to do the presidential race or the presidential election. Okay, that's all well and good, but be sure that you are voting in every election. Why? Because your voice matters. Your voice matters. Please hear me. Your voice matters. So many people are talking about last year's presidential election in 2016, November 2016. It was down to Secretary Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. And as we all know the outcome, that Donald Trump won that election. Well, then people started talking and asking questions. And I found it very interesting how many people were asking questions and having problems. And when I asked them, well, did you go vote? They said, no, I sat this one out. We can't do that. If we sit out when we are registered to vote, then, we have to look at each other and ask the question, why did you sit out? Especially if you are so passionate about certain areas. Your voice does matter. And you may have to stand in line or go to early voting and go ahead and get your vote out the way. But please, 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 register to vote. It is your right. Then vote in every election. That is so, so important to do so. Then, the other thing I want to share with you is that now that we, if you've registered to vote and you're voting in every election, we have to do our research. Again, I split tickets all the time. I do. Because I am researching the people that I'm studying, especially in my district. I'm looking at how often do they vote? What kind of bills are they passing? Are they in attendance when the bills are on the floor? You can look all of that up based on your representative. You can find out how they are voting. A person who may be new to the game, who's throwing their hat in to go and be on the ballot, you can look at what is their work in their community, what is the work in the school system, what is the work as a commissioner, what are they doing? You can look to see if they are paying their bills on time. You can look and check out their credit report. You can look and see how much money they are raising. You have your morals and your values. And when you're looking at each individual person who's going to be on a ballot, you need to ask the question, what is it that they're doing? How are they voting? How are they involved in the community? Are they just here to get your vote, or are they making a difference? You can also look at the businesses, people who say that they are supporting certain people, because now that's all public record. If you're looking to see that, you need to ask, okay, is this a business I want to support based upon how they are giving money to particular candidates that maybe you're not in favor of? These are things that we need to start looking at, which means we have to do our research. We just cannot do a straight down ballot. That doesn't work anymore. It really never worked, but we did that. We're voting the way our family used to vote. We are voting the way our parents used to vote. We are voting the way a particular cultural group is used to voting. I'm begging you to stop that. Start doing your research and see how people are leading in their community. You may ask questions about their marriage life. You may ask questions about their work life. You may ask questions if they're in the church about their responsibility in the church. There's so many factors that come into play when you're looking at the different candidates. It's so important to do your research. Please do your research. I'll give you an example. Recently, we had the repeal healthcare on the table. It was on the floor. That fizzled out yesterday. And you have to understand, I'm amazed how so many people do not understand the dynamics, the voting, the procedure, and what's in play. People didn't understand that there were 3 no's, that it automatically fizzled out. Well, you have to understand the differences. The GOP could only have 2 people who had chosen to say, or who choose to say no. There was a third person, that third person being Senator Susan Collins. I made a Facebook post on my Facebook wall earlier this week, and I said, don't just keep resisting. We're all in this resisting. We want to resist everything. Well, you got to know why you are resisting what you are resisting in the first place. If you can, get the bill, read the bill for yourself. Do not rely on the news media to tell you what you think you need to hear. Because they have their spin, they have what they want to do, and you want to know the bills for yourself. If you cannot get the entire bill, get a summary of the bill. But read it for yourself. And you can get that from your representative if they're willing to give it to you when they really should be able to. You can also research it online to see if you can find it, but make sure it is the actual bill. People didn't understand what it meant by this bill would give block grants to the state. You have to understand that. Then you have to ask questions. Well, if they send money as a block grant to the state, is this money only used and singled out for health care, or is it used for infrastructure of the state or the city? How can this money be used? That helps you determine who may or may not be eligible for the insurance that will come into play for that particular state. You have to understand the lines meaning the subject line. You also have to understand what is going to happen. You have to ask the hard questions. And if you don't have the answers, contact your representative. They do work for you. They work for you. They work for us. We pay them to do the job. So we can call their office as many times as we like. And you should be reaching out. Now it's easy. There's an app for that. You can go through an app to hit your representative and ask questions, or go to their website, see what they're talking about, see what they're in favor of. So when people were pushing back on saying just resist, as I put on my Facebook wall earlier this week, I said, Senator Susan Collins is somebody I'm watching. And I was watching her in a good way, because she has been a no, which means she is reading these things, she's listening to her constituents, and she's doing what's best for her base. Not only her base, but she's also looking at the United States of America. When she came out with a no vote on yesterday, I said to myself, she sees something that other people are not seeing. Now, if she would have come out as a yes vote, I would have looked at it as, okay, what did she see that is working? So I want to caution you, do not always resist. Read for yourself. You can be a no and a no and a no and a no and a no again, but find out that you are shooting down the very thing that could be extremely helpful for you. So be mindful. It's so easy to resist. Or let's take it to the other side. Let's say you say yes to everything that's coming out. Yes, I want this. Yes, I want that. Yes, this is the best bill that is out there. How do you know that? It could be the worst bill for you. Know what you're voting for. I listen to people who talk about they want the Affordable Care Act, ACA, but they don't want Obamacare. They have no idea that those two are the same things, which says to me they're listening to the spin, they're listening to the media, they're listening to their friends, they're listening to people and not reading the bills for themselves. Know what it is you're resisting. Know what it is you're saying yes to. The other thing I want to talk about, ask questions. There are so many community events that are going on. There's different newspaper articles. You want to ask questions. Hey, Chris, how are you? You want to ask questions. I cannot stress to you the importance. And again, I split tickets all day long when it comes to being politically savvy, because I'm doing my research. Ask questions. When you call up your representative and the aide is going to answer, more often than not, you're not going to talk to the representative. And the aide answers the call. Ask questions. Ask them, well, when does this bill go into effect? What would it look like if I have Medicare? What is it going to look like if I have Medicaid? What is it going to look like if we vote for this particular budget? Right now, I am going through information that I'm able to find on the tax plan that's coming out. I'm doing good too, Chris. Thank you. I'm going through as much information as I possibly can. Okay, it rolled out today. And if you're following the news, you have the naysayers and you have those who are supporting it. I want to know why people are saying no, and I want to find out why people are saying yes. And I'm reading that, and I'm looking at it. There's some great things so far that I'm seeing, but then there's some things that I'm questioning. So when I have those question marks, I'm going to ask the questions. That is what we need to do. Again, stop resisting just to be resisting, and stop saying yes just to say yes, and read the bill for yourself. Get an understanding. If you don't have the understanding, ask the proper questions until you get understanding, and then make a decision from there. People, We're talking about unifying. We cannot unify just to resist or just to say yes. We have to do our research. And the last thing I want to talk about is that engage with your representative and his and or her aides. Engage with them. Follow them. Follow them on Twitter. Follow them on Facebook. Follow their website. Follow them on Instagram. Look at their Google Plus page. Go to their LinkedIn. Find out what it is they're doing. If they're having a town hall meeting, go to that meeting and engage with them in that meeting. It's one thing to look at them and say, oh, they sound good, or, oh, this is going well. It's something else to go and sit in their presence, take notes, go research the notes that you have taken, and then go from there. This is not an easy feat. This is not an easy task. This is something that I absolutely love, and that's why I'm so passionate about it. I was one of those, I'll be transparent. I was one of those, my grandparents who are now, who have passed away, my grandparents were straight Democrat. My parents, straight Democrat. So when I registered to vote, that's the only thing I knew. But something said to me one day, and I was probably in my early 20s, I said, this isn't the way to go. Let me start researching what people are saying and why they are saying it. I want to know, how did they vote? How many votes did they miss? You know, you can find that out. You can see if a person abstained, voted yes, or voted no. You can see if they were even in the room to vote. You can see how many meetings they have missed. Remember, we hire them. We pay their salary. We pay their health care. The other thing, when you're going through all the different news feeds, and we have so much that's coming at us at one time, don't get distracted. You know, if you're focused on one particular platform, then that's all you're going to see. And I'm asking you to broaden your perspective. Ask the questions. I was engaging with a lady on yesterday. We had a meeting and we started talking about the NFL and the national anthem. And we were both sharing our perspectives. And I said, you know, I don't know what anyone is thinking, but this is what I do know. When I went through the research, former Judge Scalia, who's now has passed away, as you all know, he had this same conversation when it came to the burning of the flags. And he said, I didn't like it. And I think he was an expert when it came to the First, Second Amendments, all the amendments in the U.S. Constitution. He was an expert. He was a law expert. And he said, although I don't like the burning of the flags, he said, it's a First Amendment right. He said, so although I want to say I don't like it and I don't want people burning flags, he said, based upon our Constitution, there's nothing I can do about it. And as a law, there's nothing that we can do to penalize people to do that. When I read that from his words, from I think it was 1998 is when I looked at that. From 1998 to 2002, I believe, was something they were voting on. And I looked at how the other Supreme Court justice voted. I said, okay, there's something here. So we need to speak intelligently based upon the way the Constitution is written and what is being said. It's easy to get caught up in the emotions. It's something totally different to have an understanding as to why people are doing what they do and have an understanding of the law. Here's a secret. I always wanted to be an attorney. I don't know why I never fit. Well, no, I do know why I didn't do it. I didn't do it because I am a horrible test taker and I would have never passed the bar. So I decided, well, I'll do it this way. But I like to research and read. And when I was reading that, I had a better understanding. Right now, there was a vote from the Supreme Court justice on a situation in Georgia. It was an execution in Georgia. Now, it failed, but I had to look at, okay, we had 6 justices who voted no, and we had 3 who voted yes. Why? Where is this coming from? I started looking into that. I want to know why. And that's what we have to do when it comes to our representatives. Why are they voting the way they are voting? What are some of the issues? Start small if you don't want to start big. Even if you do not have children in school today, and I'm talking about your community school, whether that's elementary, middle school, or high school, still be involved. Still be involved. You can still be involved on the fundraisers for the concession stand, work in the library, volunteer your time. You have to go through an application process, but get involved. Know what you're paying taxes to. Do you understand your tax bracket and why you're paying the taxes that you are paying? Do you understand the new laws in your city, in your neighborhood? Do you know what's going on in your home ownership association? All of that. Start small. Start learning from there. But finally, I want to say this to all of you. We have to pray. Prayer is the foundation of everything that we do. So even before I pull a lever, or now it's not even a lever, in our district, we use the iPad to sign our name, to vote and everything. I pray. I'm like, God, where am I going? How do I do this? Who do you want where? Why do you want them here? And how can I be a support? How can I pray for these individual people? God, if you don't want me to vote this way, then remove that thought for me to vote that way. If you want me to write someone in, allow me to write someone in. God, what do you want? We are in what I call a state of emergency. There's so much division. There's so much confusion. There's so many spins. I'm now praying, God, let thy will be done. And if it's not your will, reveal it to me now so I can start doing something differently. Hear me. That's the foundation. So we can research all day long, but what are we doing with the research? We can resist all day long, but know why it is that you're resisting. We can say yes to everything all day long, but know what it is that we are saying yes to. I'm reading this when Mary says, how do you find out what issues are, and that will be part of the ballot 30 days before. You can go to there's a website, the Secretary of State's office, and that should give you every listing of your district, the issues. Like right now in Central Ohio, issue 2 is on there. Issue 2 is dealing with medication, I believe, and the cost of medication. Now, what I will say, even with issue 2 or other issues that may come about, read what the issue is. Saying yes could mean that you're saying no. And saying no could mean that you're saying yes. I don't know why they throw that spin in or that trick is out there. But make sure you understand it. But go to your Secretary of State's office. You can also go to, I think it's voter registration. That may have all that as well. And that brings up another point. Great question, Mary. That brings up another point, is that know what district you're in. I'm amazed how many people have no idea what ward or what district they're in. I'm amazed at that. People will say, well, I went in to vote for Senator so-and-so, but he or she wasn't even on the ballot. And I'm sitting there going, that's not your ward. That's not your district. Know your district. It is more than just a presidential race. There are commissioners, there are treasurers, there are sheriffs, there are issues, there are mayors, there are townships. There's all kinds of things. Know and have a greater understanding of what's going on in your immediate district is so much more. So know that. But yes, you can go to, I want to say it's voter.gov. That may be it. Don't quote me on that. I'll look that up, Mary, and I'll put it in the comment sections here for you. So look for that, and I'll tag you on there if I can. So look for that. But know what district you are a part of. Know what it is that you're doing and why you are doing it. And if you're in Central Ohio, we're not sure the date quite yet. You're welcome, Mary. We're not sure the date quite yet, but it's going to be in October. It's going to be an evening from 5:30 to 7:30. I'm doing a piece called Politically Savvy with Gail, and I will be dealing with everything in Central Ohio. So you'll get material, you'll get a printout, you'll get an actual, all the issues and ballot cards that are coming out. I'm going to have that. We're going to have a good time. We're going to do some networking. So look for that on this Facebook wall here. If you're watching this by YouTube, you can go to my Facebook wall, which is At the Table with Gail. And again, that's At the Table with Gail. So www.facebook.com/At the Table with Gail. And that is Gail. You can find that information out there if you are in Central Ohio. Hello, Patricia Lyles. So look for that information. If anybody, I'll stay on a few more moments. If anybody has any questions, I'll go back through those points again really quickly. Again, we're looking at being politically savvy. And the first question to ask is, what can we do? What can you do individually? And I say register to vote. That's first and foremost. It is our right. It is your right. The next thing, make sure you are voting in every election. Before you agree or disagree, before you resist or say yes to something, know what the bill is that's on the table. Read it. Either read it in its entirety or read a summary of it so that you know what you are resisting or saying yes to. You could be resisting something that you really want, or you could be saying yes to something that's not good for you. So know the bills. Know the bills. Ask questions. Go to the town hall meetings if there are any. Have an understanding. Do your research. Know how your representative is voting. Are they even there to vote? There's so many representatives who never even go to work. You see, I didn't know that, did y'all? But you can find all of that out just by looking at their voting record. If you see that they have abstained or they're never there, you know they're not doing their job. So you know you put somebody in office who's getting paid, who's getting free insurance, and they're not even showing up at work. So you got to look at that. And then engage with your rep and his or her aides. Ask the questions, ask the question, ask the questions. Thank you so much for joining me. I kind of like doing this at 7 o'clock in the evening. I think I may switch my live videos to this time. A lot of you have joined. So thank you so much for joining me on Facebook Live at the Table with Gail. Again, if you are watching by YouTube, you can go to my At the Table with Gail on Facebook and follow that, like that page. We're always putting things out there like this. I'm going to be doing different sections of this for the next several weeks leading up to elections that are taking place here in Central Ohio. You too, if you're joining me from someplace else in the United States, may have elections coming up as well. So stay tuned. And then sometime in October, maybe that last week in October, here in Central Ohio, is going to be from 5:30 to 7:30. I'm going to do a politically savvy event. It's going to be a great event. We're going to have a great time networking, sharing what's going on politically, and we'll be sharing that over wine and cheese and a veggie tray, and having a good time. Hopefully we can get a few officials who are running to come in and stop by to say hello as well. You all take care. Thank you for joining Gail Dudley with At the Table with Gail. Please visit my website, www.gaildudley.com. And if you want to engage in some amazing articles, visit my publishing company with Ready Publication at www.readypublication.com and order the latest issue. We have Dontavia Bullard, who is an actress, writer, producer, and director on the cover of this issue. And because I have not changed the discounted rate for the subscription on the website, if you get there before midnight tonight, you can still get on that discounted rate for a subscription. Talk to you soon. Peace out.